The serene town of Oahu, nestled within Honolulu County, Hawaii, carries a rich history as a former sugarcane plantation. Now home to approximately 40,000 residents, this peaceful community sits along the northern shore of both Middle Loch and West Loch of Pearl Harbor, just a brief drive from the picturesque Eva Beach. However, beneath this tranquil exterior, a darkness was brewing that would forever alter the fabric of this close-knit community. Welcome to True Crime Stories Archive, your gateway to the chilling world of real-life horror. Here, we delve into the darkest corners of humanity, unearthing terrifying stories of true crime that will leave you sleeping with the lights on. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to join our growing community of true crime enthusiasts. On January 13, 2022, as the warm Hawaiian sun painted the clear morning sky, a mother's routine check on her son would transform into a nightmare that would send shockwaves through the entire island. At approximately 8 a.m., Lily Tokahara drove to her son's healthcare establishment, concerned when he hadn't appeared the previous evening to collect the dinner she had prepared. Upon arriving at the acupuncture clinic, Lily's eyes fell upon her son's white Tacoma pickup truck, parked near the entrance, a sight that initially provided a moment of relief. The back door stood unlocked, as the front entrance facing Oahu Depot Street had been secured with a chain and in use for the past 6 months. As she stepped inside, that fleeting sense of comfort shattered instantly. There, sprawled on the office floor, lay her son, John Tokahara, motionless beside a pool of blood. In the chaotic moments that followed, emergency services were contacted, though Lily, overwhelmed with grief and shock, found herself unable to administer any medical assistance. It was already too late. When Officer John Minter of the Honolulu Police Department arrived at the scene, the brutal reality of what had transpired began to emerge. A .22 caliber shell casing lay exposed on the office floor, with 2 additional casings discovered during the subsequent investigation, one beneath John's body and another concealed behind the refrigerator. The autopsy results revealed the horrifying extent of the violence inflicted upon John Tokahara. He had been struck by not 1, but 4 gunshots to the head, suggesting an execution-style killing that bore all the hallmarks of a deeply personal attack. Yet, in a puzzling twist that would later become significant to investigators, approximately $4,000 in large bills lay untouched near John's body, immediately ruling out robbery as a motive. John Tokahara, at 47 years old, had been a pillar of the Oahu community. Though unmarried and without children, he maintained profound connections with his family, particularly his mother Lily, and served as a devoted uncle to his sister's 2 boys. His passion for the ocean manifested in various pursuits. Fishing, surfing, and paddling were integral parts of his life. After achieving his master's degree in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, John had established his independent practice, the Tokahara Acupuncture and Healthcare Clinic, which he'd successfully operated for nearly 2 decades. The community's response to his murder was immediate and overwhelming. Friends and patients spoke of his generosity, describing a man who had dedicated his life to healing others. His practice had become a cornerstone of healthcare in Oahu, where he had treated countless individuals over his 20 years of service. Beyond his professional contributions, John was known for his charitable works, including providing scholarships to support local education initiatives. As investigators began piecing together the puzzle of John's final hours, they discovered a complex timeline that would prove crucial to the case. 2 cell phones belonging to John were found on his office desk, one fully functional, the other limited to Wi-Fi connectivity. The Wi-Fi-only device, reportedly used exclusively for playing Pokémon Go, had been active from approximately 5:40 p.m. until its battery died at 8:45 p.m. the night before. The last confirmed communication from John came through his primary phone at 6:18 p.m., following a text message to his mother about picking up dinner, a meal he would never collect. After this point, all activity on his main device ceased, creating a critical timeline that would later become central to the investigation. The investigation took a significant turn when security camera footage from the area surrounding the acupuncture clinic was analyzed. At approximately 5:57 p.m., a white four-door Silverado pickup truck with Hawaii plates was captured turning north onto Oahu Depot Street from Farrington Highway. After executing several quick turns in the vicinity, the vehicle vanished from view at a nearby intersection. However, moments later, a mysterious figure emerged on foot, making their way toward John's clinic. The individual's appearance was distinctive yet concealing, adorned in a light-colored bucket-style hat, dark sunglasses, and multiple scarves covering their face. They carried a brown shopping bag as they approached the clinic from the rear entrance. The timing was critical. This unknown person entered John's office at approximately 6:16 p.m., coinciding with the last recorded activity on John's primary cell phone. In a chillingly brief encounter, the same figure was seen departing just 48 seconds later. No other individuals were recorded entering or leaving the premises until Lily's devastating discovery the following morning. Law enforcement's scrutiny of the surveillance footage yielded some crucial details about the Silverado. The front license plate, though partially visible, appeared to follow a specific pattern: 3 letters followed by 3 numbers. Despite the grainy quality of the footage, investigators noted that the truck showed no distinguishing marks, and its bed appeared empty. The Honolulu Police Department's Strategic Enforcement Detail launched an exhaustive search, identifying 53 Silverado pickup trucks registered in Hawaii that matched their criteria: white in color, 4-door configuration, likely a 2014 to 2016 model, with a license plate format matching their observations. Through a meticulous process of elimination, investigators systematically ruled out 52 of these vehicles through photographs, physical inspections, and ownership records. This methodical investigation led them to the final remaining possibility: a Silverado registered to 34-year-old Eric Thompson. The connection seemed tenuous at first. Thompson was a former client of John's, having sought treatment for carpal tunnel syndrome years earlier. On the surface, Eric Thompson appeared as an unlikely suspect: a successful contractor, married to his high school sweetheart, and father to a 3-year-old daughter. However, the investigation would soon uncover layers of complexity beneath this seemingly ordinary connection. When detectives delved into John's cell phone records, they discovered an explosive revelation: thousands of messages, over 5,600 in a single month, exchanged between John and Joyce Thompson, Eric's wife. These weren't ordinary communications. They were intimate exchanges, including nude photographs, videos, and explicit messages that revealed a passionate affair. The relationship between Joyce and John had apparently developed over several months, spanning from mid-May to late July 2021, but had ended abruptly when Eric discovered their involvement. The messages painted a picture of an unbalanced emotional investment. John had been the first to express love, frequently conveying his deep feelings, while Joyce maintained a more cautious stance. She had made it clear that while she would continue their liaison, she wouldn't leave her marriage. The affair came to light when Eric confronted Joyce about a suspicious late-night excursion. Home security cameras had captured her leaving their residence at 1 a.m. while Eric was away on business. When confronted, Joyce confessed to the relationship, agreeing to end all contact with John. The couple then embarked on what appeared to be attempts to salvage their marriage. The relationship between Eric and Joyce Thompson had begun at Kalani High School in East Honolulu. Their romance had culminated in a wedding on January 14, 2017, marking their 13th anniversary together. The ceremony, held at a neighbor's beachfront estate, had been attended by numerous friends and family members. The couple had subsequently established their home in Kua, approximately a 30-minute drive from Oahu. Their marriage had celebrated several significant milestones, including Eric's graduation from the University of Hawaii and the birth of their daughter 2 years before John's murder. Ironically, it was the couple's desire to start a family that had initially led them to seek John's professional services. An old high school teacher had recommended John to the Thompsons, suggesting his treatments might help with fertility issues following Joyce's heartbreaking miscarriage. Initially, Joyce sought John's treatments for both fertility assistance and back pain. The treatments proved successful, as the couple eventually welcomed their daughter. However, what had begun as a professional healthcare relationship evolved into something far more complicated after their child's birth, as Joyce continued her appointments with John. Pause. Before we continue with this story, allow me to share something important with you. Looking at our channel analytics, it's clear that many of you watching our true crime stories are not yet subscribed. In fact, about 85% of our viewers haven't hit that subscribe button. If you're finding value in our content and want to support what we do, please take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps us continue bringing you these meticulously researched true crime stories, and ensures you won't miss any future uploads. Now, let's get back to our story. The investigation into John's murder intensified when authorities began examining Eric Thompson's movements on the evening of January 13th. According to surveillance footage, Eric's white 2014 Silverado departed his residence at approximately 5:20 p.m. The timing aligned perfectly with the investigation's timeline. Google Maps data indicated that the drive from the highway entrance to the clinic area typically took between 35 to 55 minutes, depending on traffic conditions. The Silverado was first captured on surveillance cameras in the Wahoo area at 5:57 p.m., exactly 37 minutes after Eric was seen leaving his driveway. Following the presumed time of the murder, cameras recorded Eric's vehicle returning to his driveway at 6:47 p.m. What happened next raised investigators' suspicions further. Less than an hour after his return, security cameras captured the glow of a fire emanating from the Thompsons' backyard, burning for approximately 5 minutes. Even more intriguingly, Eric left the residence once more that night, but this time with a notable difference. A crossbox, typically used for tool storage, was visible in the truck bed, an item that hadn't been present during his earlier departure. When he returned again at 10:43 p.m., the investigation noted these suspicious patterns of movement. When authorities executed a search warrant at the Thompson residence, while they didn't uncover direct evidence linking either Eric or Joyce to the murder, they discovered several concerning elements. A bucket and wheelbarrow in the backyard showed signs of recent burning. Inside the house, investigators found an extensive firearms collection, 12 registered weapons belonging to Eric Thompson, along with 2 unregistered guns. Of particular interest to investigators was the fact that 2 of Eric's guns matched the type of weapon believed to have been used in the murder, .22 caliber rifles. However, ballistics testing revealed that none of these weapons were a match to the murder weapon. Adding to the intrigue, authorities discovered over 1,000 rounds of .22 caliber ammunition in Thompson's possession. One piece of evidence emerged that would either solidify or completely dismantle the case against Eric Thompson: the light-colored bucket hat worn by the presumed killer. Security footage had captured a crucial moment when the perpetrator, crossing Wahoo Depot Street after leaving the clinic, dropped the hat. It remained on the street for approximately 10 minutes before being retrieved by a passerby, later identified as a homeless individual who briefly wore it before hanging it in his tent. Forensic analysis of the hat yielded potentially significant results. Technicians discovered fibers and a hair, along with DNA samples swabbed from both the rim and crown of the hat. The results, while not definitively damning, couldn't exclude Eric Thompson as the source of the DNA. On Valentine's Day 2022, Eric Thompson was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and using a firearm in the commission of a separate felony. After posting a $1 million bond, he prepared to face trial. When proceedings began in July 2023, the prosecution's strategy centered heavily on motive, emphasizing Joyce's affair with John and the personal nature of the murder: 4 gunshots to the head suggesting an emotionally charged attack. Prosecutors painted Eric as a controlling perfectionist who had worked diligently to build a successful business and secure a $2 million home. They argued that upon discovering his wife's affair with John Tokuhara, he had compelled Joyce to confess to her parents and apologize for her actions. The prosecution contended that the murder was Eric's attempt to permanently eliminate the man who had threatened his carefully constructed perfect life. When the defense presented their case, they dramatically shifted the narrative that had seemed so straightforward. Their revelations cast John Tokuhara in a markedly different light, suggesting that his affair with Joyce Thompson was far from an isolated incident. The defense brought forward multiple witnesses who testified about John's previous relationships with other married women or committed partners. John DeMarco took the stand, recounting how his own marriage had ended following his ex-wife's affair with John Tokahara, who had also been her acupuncturist. However, DeMarco's testimony included an unexpected twist. He described how John had later become a father figure to his daughter before eventually ending the relationship with his ex-wife. DeMarco emphasized that he had moved forward with his life, remarried, and harbored no lingering resentment toward John. Another witness, Darrell Feucht, whose relationship had similarly dissolved due to an affair with John, was also called to testify. While police had initially considered Feucht a person of interest, his solid alibi had quickly eliminated him as a suspect. Notably, Feucht admitted to deleting data from his cell phone before speaking with police, though he expressed frustration at being drawn into the investigation at all. Both DeMarco and Feucht testified that they had no involvement in John's murder and no desire for revenge, having moved past their initial anger and hurt. The defense then turned to Eric's own testimony about discovering the affair. He described his shock upon viewing security footage of Joyce sneaking out at night, explaining his initial disbelief given John's role in helping them through their fertility struggles. Eric testified that while he had initially considered confronting John, he ultimately concluded it would be pointless, believing John didn't care about his feelings or family. According to Eric's testimony, Joyce had shown genuine remorse for the affair and made sincere efforts to repair their marriage, including completely cutting off contact with John. He claimed that he had come to realize the primary issues lay within his marriage to Joyce, acknowledging that he had sometimes taken her for granted. Eric maintained that after John was removed from the equation, he became a non-factor in their lives. When questioned about the suspicious Silverado captured on surveillance footage in Oahu, Eric firmly denied that it was his vehicle. He also categorically denied any involvement in John's murder. The defense presented alternative explanations for the seemingly suspicious activities observed at his residence. The backyard fire, which had burned for approximately 5 minutes, was attributed to tiki torches that Eric claimed he regularly lit while playing outside with his daughter. A defense fire expert testified that the flames captured by the neighbor's security camera were consistent with this explanation. The defense also addressed the bucket and wheelbarrow showing signs of burning, with Eric explaining that he used these items to melt metal for work-related projects. Furthermore, a defense DNA expert challenged the prosecution's interpretation of the DNA evidence from the bucket hat, suggesting that the similarities could not definitively link Eric Thompson to the item. The prosecution's timeline also came under scrutiny. The various security camera timestamps required multiple adjustments to align with real time, a process that proved complicated when trying to establish the sequence of events. Initial arrest documents stated that the person in the bucket had entered the clinic at approximately 6:16 p.m. and remained for 48 seconds while John was shot 4 times. However, the same documents indicated that John's phone was unlocked at 6:18 p.m., creating a discrepancy in the timeline. The timeline discrepancies extended to John's Pokémon Go activity. While prosecutors suggested the game remain active until the phone's battery died around 8:45 p.m., the defense argued that if the application was manually closed, it would indicate John was alive well after the prosecution's proposed time of death. Further complexities emerged regarding Eric and Joyce's marriage in the months leading up to the murder. 11 days before John's death, the couple had entered into a post-marital agreement stipulating that Eric would receive their house and sole custody of their daughter in the event of divorce. While prosecutors portrayed this as Eric coercing his wife, the defense countered that Joyce had proposed the agreement herself to demonstrate her commitment to fidelity. However, new tensions had surfaced in their marriage over Joyce's consultation with psychics. Eric had insisted she stop seeing them after one had allegedly supported her decision to have the affair. He compared her attraction to psychic readings to an addiction, similar to alcoholism. Despite agreeing to stop, Joyce had reached out to another psychic in December 2021, just 1 month before John's murder. Prosecutors pointed to this as evidence that the marriage remained strained and that Eric continued to exhibit controlling behavior. Eric's alibis for his movements on the night of the murder faced intense scrutiny. He claimed his first trip at 5:20 p.m. was to dump construction materials, specifically bricks, at the Waipahu Convenience Center. His second trip, just before 10 p.m., was allegedly to purchase food items with cash. However, no video surveillance, receipts, transactions, or witnesses could verify either story. The prosecution called Rocky Javier, a security guard at the dump, who testified he had never seen Eric Thompson before and that bricks were prohibited items at the facility. Though Javier acknowledged it wasn't possible to track every visitor or inspect every load during busy periods, surveillance footage showed Eric's truck bed empty when he left his driveway at 5:20 p.m., contradicting his story about transporting bricks. After 3 full days of deliberation, the jury returned deadlocked, forcing Judge Paul Wong to declare a mistrial. The vote had split with 9 jurors favoring conviction and 3 voting for acquittal. The divided verdict reflected the complex and circumstantial nature of the evidence presented throughout the trial. Several jurors later indicated that the lack of concrete physical evidence had been a significant factor in their inability to reach a unanimous decision. The case had relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, timing discrepancies, and contested DNA findings, leaving room for reasonable doubt in some jurors' minds. The defense team viewed the hung jury as validation of their argument that initial media coverage and prosecution press releases had painted an oversimplified picture of the case. They expressed confidence that a second trial would allow them to present an even stronger case for Eric's innocence. While a second trial was initially scheduled for October 2023, it never materialized. As of the time of this report, no new trial date has been set, leaving the murder of John Tokuhara officially unsolved. The case remains a haunting reminder of how appearances can be deceiving, and how the search for justice can be complicated by conflicting evidence and competing narratives. The tragedy continues to resonate throughout the Oahu community, where John Tokuhara's clinic once served as a place of healing. His murder not only revealed the complex web of relationships that can exist beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives but also demonstrated how the quest for truth can sometimes lead to more questions than answers. This concludes our coverage of the John Tokuhara case. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Join us next time for another deep dive into true crime cases that challenge our understanding of justice and human nature.